Welcome back to Freedom to Learn podcast. My name is Guru Sv4u's, the CEO of Silicon Valley for You. Um, for those who are not familiar with this podcast, please subscribe and press the like button. You'll see a lot more content your way. And so today, we have a friend of mine for what now? 5 years, 6 years, 7 years? I forgot. Anyway, long. So Dan Zherebetskyy. He's originally from Ukraine, and so his postdoctorate from UC Berkeley, and prior to that, he had a PhD from Ukraine, and currently he's at Amazon as a data scientist. So he had a tremendous, you can see tremendous academic career, as well as doing super good in the industry today. So we are excited to speak to him. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Guru. Thank you for inviting me. Pleasure to be here at your podcast.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So obviously, I mean, now a lot of people know more about Ukraine than before. So why don't you tell the viewers about yourself, your childhood, and then definitely you did so well back then, and what prompted you to come to US, and more specifically UC Berkeley, one of the top schools. And yeah, just tell everybody about your beginnings.
Yeah, I don't know where to start. So I was born in when the Soviet Union still existed. So not the best times. We didn't have much toys or things to do. So everything was outside, playing balls and with a lot of kids. And yeah, that was the time. And then the Soviet Union collapsed, and my mother was a mathematician, and she developed actually applied mathematician. She was involved in developing of PCs, and yeah, after Soviet Union collapsed, all these high-tech industries also collapsed. So my mother kind of told me, you know what, you need to get good education, and you need to do something with that, and I can help you. And she helped a lot, and I'm very thankful to her about that. So mainly math and physics. Yeah, and I started to participate in different Olympiads since 9th grade in school. Yeah, you accumulate little by little the experience, and I started to do a little bit of research as well. Could you believe, like in school, we do a bit of research, and this is because we had strong mathematicians and physics teachers, yeah, and I did like math research a little bit of physics research in the in the 11th, in 10th grade. I got the second place in Small Academy of Science of Ukraine. And then in the 11th grade, which is the final grade in school, there was an kind of Olympiad, physics Olympiad in the best university, Taras Shevchenko Kyiv University, National University of Kyiv. Yeah, I think this is how it is pronounced correctly. Yeah, I got there the first place and was invited to kind of to submit my application. And of course I was happy too, because this was my dream that time. And I worked really hardly, like for 4 years. In 11th grade, I didn't have even the weekends, so it was continuous hard work. We had like 8 classes per day in 10th and 11th grade. frequently, and yeah, a lot of like math and physics afterwards. And yeah, so this is what brought me to the one of the best universities in Ukraine. And believe it or not, only 2 weeks I had a calm life, and then I started. I met a professor in elevator, and we started to talk, and like she invited me to join her group and start to do research in nanotechnology, in nanophysics. And this is where my kind of scientific career started to be at the student level. So we started to travel a little bit around Germany, and few times we were in Poland, and yeah, I've seen like how big is the difference between the Ukrainian universities and German universities. And for people who are passionate about science, this has a lot of impact, like access to the devices, access to the materials, access to the knowledge, papers, publications, books, all of these. And yeah, I started like to consider to go to do my PhD to Germany, and then to probably Austria and Netherlands. And yeah, finally landed with Austria. And why? Because it was, first of all, computational material science and physics. And before that, I was experimentator, did experiments. Yeah, I wanted to go deeper into theory, calculations, and so because those guys, they really explained. So whatever we measured as experimentalists, we had to have an explanation. And from the computational standpoint, those people in computational material science and physics, they have a huge amount of knowledge and computational theory that allows to explain things. Right, so we have some data basically saying like as experimentalists we measure spectra or images, and we need to like stitch them together. And there are different spectra, UVVs, infrared, Raman spectroscopy, and other things. And there are some specific lines, and we need to find out like why these lines are caused, because this gives an information about your material, about what's going on inside, how the atoms are connected together, what is going on during some like chemical reactions or physical processes. And having those computational apparatus, you can explain it. And this is like really attracting point. Until now, this is a really attracting point to me. Working at Amazon, we have some data, we have some kind of patterns going on, and we want to explain why it is happening. And once we know what caused what, we can basically predict in the future. We can forecast some sort of a traffic to Alexa or similar items or similar processes. Yeah, and then I did my PhD in Austria, in University of Salzburg. Salzburg is the city where Mozart was born, and yeah, did his career and his music. Beautiful place. And then over there we met a lot of American people, and we met some American professors at conferences, and yeah, we started to consider to come to the United States for to continue doing the research career, because US is the most advanced in terms of science in the world. So probably half of the best universities are located in the United States. Yeah, first we came to University of Minnesota. That time, the chemistry department, computational chemistry department, was one of the leading departments. So I wanted to learn a little bit more chemistry, computational chemistry. some very expensive methods like coupled cluster configuration interaction methods. So it's everything is quantum chemistry, quantum physics. And yeah, and then moved to UC Berkeley because believe it or not, in Europe, people don't care that much about the ranking, about the quality of the journals or ranking of the journals or ranking of the papers. People are more focused, okay, so this is my area of research and I try to be creative, I try to do my best. And but they don't chase these ranking things. And one of the biggest changes that I met here when we moved to the United States is like all students were like, okay, we published in this journal. Oh, they published in this journal. What is the ranking of this faculty or this university? And so a lot of things were about ranking. And yeah, it catches up, and you start to understand why the US is so successful. So this is what basically brought me to the United States. And then I got postdoc position in UC Berkeley, also computational nanoscience and nanophysics group. But we collaborated a lot with chemists, material scientists. So totally I published, I'm author and co-author of more than 20 scientific papers. Yeah, a couple of them are published in Science Journal, in JACS, some other high-ranking journals like ACS Nano and Nano Letters. Also, yeah, and then in 2015, my postdoc kind of got to the end. And, you know, like after you did your postdoc, you have actually two opportunities. One opportunity is to go to the industry. Another one, of course, is to become a professor. And we lived in UC Berkeley is located near the Silicon Valley. So you see a huge gap, and you feel actually as a postdoc or professor a huge gap between people working in Silicon Valley and people in academia. And yeah, this motivates to think about, okay, what is my future? What's the future of my family? Like, what can I afford? What I cannot afford? And you know, these things little by little shifted me to get the job in industry. So I started to do consulting for a nanosys company. There is a company called Nanosys. It's more like a research R&D company. They own more than 300 patents about quantum dots, and similar nanotechnologies. And yeah, started collaboration with a little bit with Samsung, and
I think we met around that time. I think we ran into each other. I think that's I don't want to take too much credit, but I can say that that was a sort of turning point that and now put you in San Diego. Anyway, I'm just joking. But this is fascinating, right? So the body of work you did in academics is so much. I mean, probably you don't say it because you are in it, or maybe you're associated with people that a lot of people do something like that. But for people, as you said nicely, right, there is a UC Berkeley. You know that I live very close to that, and then Silicon Valley, and then I am associated with Silicon Valley, and my company name is Silicon Valley for you. And I don't have much on the academia as much as you do. And yes, you're absolutely right that there is a gap where at least 99, even I can even say 100% of the people I know of in the valley or otherwise have no sense of these things. And I mean, I know a bunch of PhDs and all that, but this is like, you know, starting from in Ukraine and then Austria and Minnesota and then UC Berkeley, and then I believe you continue to work in UC Berkeley for some time after postdoctorate, right? So I think for the viewers of this, I know a lot of people, you know, right now aspiring to be in UC Berkeley, and in general, right? what is it being like in one of these elite schools, so to speak? I mean, and you very well said, US has one of the best universities, and UC Berkeley happened to be one of the top. I don't know. I don't know how to rank it. 5, 10, whatever, maybe 5. So what it means and what it's like to be in one of the top schools in the world.
Yeah, so
Maybe you don't feel that because you are there. So, yeah.
no, there is a difference a little bit. So even comparing to University of Minnesota or like University of Salzburg or CanU, the difference is that like in UC Berkeley, you feel the difference because there is a national lab located there as well, where probably half of UC Berkeley Nobel Prize laureates basically did their research based on this facility of Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. And there is a huge amount of collaboration that is going on there. So in basically in other universities, you are more like individual contributor. You have your topic, you do your research. But in UC Berkeley, you have a lot of scientists around you, and people are willing to collaborate. They are open to contribute to research, and they are very curious about things. Like this is like I always describe it as a soup with the best ingredients. So, and it is boiling. So it's a little bit from the area of fantasy where 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. It's like 1 + 1 equals like 3 or even 4. Because when you start combining the ingredients together or people together, ideas together, this is where like a huge feedback comes to the people, and also it generates a lot of ideas, a lot of like advanced ideas, and people are motivated a lot. People are one of the best probably in the world. It puts a little bit of pressure on you at the beginning, but if you are fully committed and think about the problems, think about what to do, how to do, you are open to collect experience, talk to people, little by little you kind of get to their level. So it's
It's a process. It's a journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so now, see, you mentioned earlier that you could feel and see the difference between the real world, I call it valley in this case, but so Silicon Valley for you, as you know very well. So this is what we preach to all the students, no matter what you end up doing academically, try to adapt to industry connection and as and when you can from the get-go. So you don't wait until you finish academics like the way you said earlier. If you wait until last year of your academics, then you're mounting the pressure, right? All of a sudden there is this world out there again starting all over and things like that. So whereas if you start accumulating that knowledge while you're still in school, so there is a ease, right? There's a comfort of getting in and and then just transition easily. So what's your take on there's a fact that there's a gap between academics and real world. We all understand, we all know. I think it's a fact in my opinion. And so can you talk more about it? Because I think you're one of the best people to explain that from the other side of the things.
Yeah, this is a quite complex question, and yeah, there is quite a bit of gap, but still we have a lot of skills and experience that we can like that is what is called transferable. But in terms of the starting your career in industry, yeah, you need skills, particular skills, like particular tools, set of tools, your toolbox. And probably it's a little bit beyond the software industry, but as well like other industries. But since I have been working in like in this industry, so it's like language in which you are coding, understanding huge amount of code, using the industrial tools, like for example, PyCharm
Correct.
is a very convenient tool that is usually used in industry, but not used in
In the economy,
in
yeah.
academics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, how people write the code, how they structure the code, how they organize and develop it, and what's the life cycle of the commit. So people in software industry, if they have CS background, probably they know a little bit more about that. But when you are coming from this computational statistics, physics, chemistry background, biology background into like data science and statistics related positions, you don't have that. And yeah, and another part is that the projects are very like fast paced. We have sprints in industry. In academia, we have basically a direction that is going on for years.
Yeah.
And in industry, you have like 2 weeks projects. Even though
urgency.
the roadmap is long, but like for a year or sometimes for 3 years, for quarter as well. But yeah, everything is much faster. What else? A little bit more structured as well. So in academia, you have a little bit more freedom of where to go, who to talk to, like go to conferences. And in industry, actually, like industry doesn't want you to publish that much.
Yeah, just get it done. So
yeah.
No, I see. I mean, so you put it very nicely. You also gave some examples, right? So I put it in two different buckets: in tangible skills and intangible skills. So the ones tangible skills, you're absolutely right. That industry is doing a lot of research as we speak, right? For instance, let's say, just hypothetically, if Alexa is the course, if there is a course Alexa in the university, even UC Berkeley, and then the stuff they can teach in UC Berkeley and the stuff you guys are doing is miles apart. They're like, you're like ages ahead of the stuff probably they know about Alexa. So as a result, a student that comes out of that, whatever the degree is, and he's going to be way behind. As you very well said, that's what there is a commercial tools. The people use commercial tools, and in everything, like blockchain, AI, whatever, all the tech tools. There's a lot of research going on, and industry wants you to use those to get the work done. Boom, boom, like. So whereas here, in the academy, it's more of research oriented, like, going to public, understand the fundamentals, keep understanding the fundamentals, and the sense of urgency, right? The pace is there is a sense of urgency here because there is a money at stake, revenue at stake, bottom line. That's not the case there. And as a result, although you are part of a 3 year project, you have deliverables every 3 months. There is a release, there is a customer and asking questions. So I call it, this is unstructured world. The real world is unstructured. This is academia is very structured because for everything there is a guidance, there is a process, and there is a curriculum, there is a semester, there is exam, and then if you pass the exam, there is a process. If you fail the exam, there is a process. You come to the industry, so you're like, okay, you're in this team, okay, talk to that guy, and that guy doesn't want to talk to me, okay, deal with it. So you know what I mean? So I'm just joking, but you know what I mean. So basically, there is no structure here, and many times people, any human being, when you are used to certain structure for so long, when you first get out, you're like a fish out of pond, and not everybody can quickly transition and figure out how to work in the corporate structure. And that is the problem. Costing, at least I can speak for myself, I would have lost 5 years, 3 to 5 years of my life figuring out. I mean, I didn't study that much, but point is that even then, I didn't know what the expectation was. I remember I was given the first project. I was doing examination processing. I was doing my part very well. My system analyst was very happy with my work. That's why, in fact, he took me over someone else, long story short. But I never understood what we are doing there. Every time I ask very politely, I want to know the big picture. He told, I think he spent like 10 minutes, 20 minutes once. And then he looked at my face, I guess that's it. And then he never, because he has a deliverable, he's under pressure and he has to report to his boss on regular basis. And he doesn't have time to train me and to make sure I fully understand. So whereas if that is same setup, if I had in the college, if my system analyst is the professor, if I ask him, then he would have spent like 2 days or 1 week, break down and go on the board and yada all that, and until I come up to speed, and then we would have done it. That's not the case here. So we finished the project. I still don't know what we were doing, but I was doing my part. I understood my part, but overall big picture I never understood, and I moved on to another project. Now I understand what we did back then. So point is that disconnect happened because I never was trained to understand the big picture. I was never trained. And so now after a few years, when I got into new things, then I started understanding big picture quickly. So that required a little bit of experience, they call it, right? That's what they call experience. And that's why companies want experienced people. The reason being, when there's experience, when you have a conversation, you immediately get it. If you don't have experience, you're not going to get it. And companies think that's a overhead. This is, this is going to be, they're going to be in the loss column because of this overhead. They are losing time because the guy who has to explain, he's losing his cycles. And so long story short, that's what we are trying to mitigate here. So I remember, I think you went to Collective I, and then from there, I think you went to another company in Mountain View, I forgot. And then you moved on to Amazon, I believe. And when I called you, all of a sudden, hey, I'm at Amazon, I'm in Seattle now. I was like, oh, and then that's what I was saying earlier. And then I called you again, you're in San Diego now. So you're very quick, man. I mean, next time I call, I don't know, like probably, hey, I'm in your neighborhood. So, it's funny. Yeah. So why don't you talk a little bit about, your association with Silicon Valley for you? I know you taught Java. I remember doing that, and to some, youth. And I think now you're the advisor. And so what do you think of Silicon Valley for you and your association?
Yeah, let me just add a little bit to
Sure.
the previous thing,
Yeah.
And start answering this question. So yeah, like you said, one of the biggest things about like getting business understanding and business processes and what business people want and have, because everything is done to do some product or some development for business, because that's important. And this is probably like what experienced people have in addition to the regular skills and tools that students from academia or people from academia don't have that much. And yeah, like in terms of Silicon Valley for you, this is you have a great mission of helping students to tap into the industrial world, let's say this way, by teaching and doing real world projects, and this is a really good aim or goal that would help a lot of people who are involved or who decide to join, because I had a lot of struggles actually to find a job to transition, and it's not only me. I know that like a lot of people have, like from the university, no matter like what experience you have, but getting from university to industry is a little bit hard, and it takes time consuming. It takes time and efforts, and you are helping. Silicon Valley for you is helping to people to have less frustration, for this process to go smoothly. And probably there was some sort of I don't know, the experience that you
Case study. Case study.
realize. Yeah, your mission is to
Correct.
help people to transition, right? And you helped me for sure, like explain certain things, and yeah, and on the other side, you try to bring people from industry to teach the students. Like after some time, you brought me to teach Java code and explain certain things, and that's important. This is a, how to say, this is a process that kind of helps not only people who are in the industry to get talented people in the industry, but also teach people from academia to get into industry. And that's how to say, connecting these two worlds. Yeah. is a key that Silicon Valley for you has. Also, being as advisor, yeah, I apologize because of the like war in Ukraine and like other things like moving from one place to another, like took a lot of time. So I would like to contribute a little bit more. Yeah, and
Yeah, no, don't worry about that. In fact, yeah, go ahead. Sorry. No, I was going to say that we are, I know you mentioned earlier that passive infrared images, we are doing a project around that where to, run the model on the data from the sensors, using the sensor data to minimize false positives, so that your camera will be turned on only if there is a well-detected image, or image is indeed a certain object like human body, for instance. And so we are doing that. I love to talk to you. I will talk to you very soon. And we have the data. We have some data. I shouldn't say we have data. We have some data, and we are figuring out how to curate more data and things like that. Yeah, I know the Ukraine war is just crazy, and there is that, and now I don't know. So it's, yeah, hopefully, it comes to an end hopefully soon. Yeah. Anyway, so so basically, now so one more thing, by the way, congratulations. I didn't know that your mom was a mathematician. So it looks like you got it from her, and she helped big time, and yeah, I can see that. And so now you have kids, and now your kids are going to be starting all over just like you did back in the day, back in Ukraine. So I preach to all the youth that regardless of what you want to do in life, acquire knowledge and skills of technology, not necessarily coding, but technology. You know what I mean, right? So you don't have to code, can still be, if you take your project or even Amazon, I don't know, 30-40% of the people actually code, I'm assuming, or maybe a little bit more. I don't know exact number, but there are tons of people who don't code, but they understand technology pretty well. They're product managers and technical side of people who don't really code. But point I'm trying to make is that going forward, this generation has to deal with technology of some sort, whether it's say cryptos or blockchain or AI. Tomorrow, already, what is it? Metaverse already. I mean, not already, it was there for a long time. Anyway, Facebook made it popular. Now everybody is in metaverse now. In fact, we are partnering with the company in metaverse. And so your kids are going to deal with blah, blah, whatever that may be, who knows? So what do you think of that? I'm hoping that this youth learns tech, regardless of what they do. You want to be a doctor, you want to be musician, or whatever.
Yeah, basically, from the global history perspective point, the technology always like tapped into the life of people, and starting from first industrial revolution, like even like starting from metal is sort of technology for people who were in the Bronze Age. And then we had a steam machines that replaced the horses, and this is when everything started to be like more and more productive. Let's say this way, technology helps you to be more productive, and it is very important to keep up with the pace of technology. And even like from the civilization perspective, the nations or people or territories who had new technologies, they kind of move faster, they develop faster, they have more for less time. They have more in less time. Right? And for kids who are studying, technology is I believe is very important. Like this is what schools have to teach, and probably it's not enough. So yeah, now they started to bring in the laptops and teach kids about certain things to do, but it's not purely academic that they have to teach, I believe, but also technology. And this is also again part of what Silicon Valley for you is doing, and you are doing, is to bring technology to people. It's incredibly important because with the development of machine learning, with the development of computational tools like quantum computers, with the development of artificial intelligence, the technology becomes more complex. It allows to do more in terms in many areas, let's say this way. And it is important to know, because people who can use these tools, they can do more within the certain period of time. Like you take a person who has only a hammer and you take a carpenter who has all set of tools like saws, hammers, and whatever like they
Right,
use. And of course the carpenter will do very quickly, can build a house by himself even probably. The same in technology, like if you have everything, if you have tools, access to the tools, and you know how to use them properly, you can produce for business, for your own business, for someone else's business, much more, and you'll become more valuable. And not only to you, but also to your family, to your community around you, to your country as well. So and this is important point, to keep up with the pace of technology. So this is my kind of
no, I think that's exactly. I think I use the exact same words when I talk to people. I mean, I use the same thing. For instance, hammer, spanner, screwdriver, and all that. So now, so you learn screwdriver. Now I say, hey, hang the pictures on the wall. Oh, I don't know how to use hammer. It's like, so then so point is that earlier you mentioned in the previous conversation that there is a business case. There is a case, whether it's business or research, or it can be anything. There is a case. Once you have a business case, you work backwards and say, okay, I'm going to learn this. in order to do that. In other words, if I want to hang the pictures, I want to learn Hammer. You just don't learn Spanner, just let's see what happens. Okay, I learn. So like, we are sitting in Bay Area and learn French. Okay, now what? What do you do? So so you're not going anywhere. Unless you have a use case to go to France or Canada or someplace where people speak French, learning French makes sense. Otherwise, might as well do something that's relevant to Bay Area. So it's similarly, I mean, one of the things that I see that as a big concern in general is that when I interview people from colleges, just getting out of colleges, they have this resume with like 6 programming languages, everything like Java, JavaScript, Python, name it, C, C++, everything. And then if I see, okay, where did you use any of these? Not much. There's nothing. I mean, I was talking to a guy from University of Purdue. He's just completing his computer science. He never heard a term unstructured data. Never heard. It's not about whether he knows or he doesn't know. He never heard, meaning it's one of those things when you are there, you hear these things, right? Maybe you don't know details, but you hear those, right? He never heard. So, but his computer science degree is done, undergrad. But my point is, I don't think it's his fault, in my opinion. As you said, these tools have to be current and not, the old ones, like, or even, that, you're at Amazon. So anything like if you're behind by 3-4 years, you're outdated, right? Who's gonna, so even take Python, right? What is it? I don't remember now. Is it 4.x? There was it used to be 3. Blah blah, and in a year or two it will be 4.x or 5.x. God knows where it's gonna go. So in other words, if you come and say, hey, I know Python 1.x, it's like, okay, good for you. So I say, especially,
and another point that you brought really important is to not just know the tool, but know how to apply it to a real world problem.
That's correct.
That's another like a huge disconnect that happens, and something that you help to bridge is to kind of apply it to a real world problem with all the obstacles that real world data or real world
dynamics,
products and dynamics
has.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Sometimes, see, I mean, when I work with these people, I'm not kidding. I mean, oh, where is the data? Okay. So sometimes there is no data. You got to curate the data. You got to figure out the data. So in other words, as you said, in the real world, you are making something out of nothing. And most of the times, if not all, most of the times you are making something out of nothing. That's why it's called unstructured. Whereas for the same project, if you were to do in college as a college project, you'll be given a data and you'll be given a computer and you'll go in and then pick one of the algorithms and run it, and you plot the graph, and hopefully you'll get some good scores and you're good to go. So yeah, I agree. And yes, so the other thing you mentioned earlier is that it's not about knowing some syntax and some semantics and all that, right? When you have large amount of code in the case of software, and also identifying what do I need to make it work quickly. Like, for instance, if it is Python, I need certain modules, some kind of debugging tools, or some kind of a even simple develop IDE. What kind of IDE, like you said, Python, simple things like IDE. What IDE is going to help me to move quickly? And these things, they seem to be simpler once you know it, and once you're in it and you're using it. When you don't know, it can be a huge bottleneck. And also things, if you don't know, you don't know until and then you're shooting in the dark, and one day you realize that, oh, I would have used this then, and then if you had used it, probably you would have saved 2-3 months. So those things are more important than just knowing actual syntax. To be honest, actual syntax and some of the things are commoditized. You can just Google them. You can get those modules. I not modules. I mean, even modules. Even the code actually the code is there in Google, so you can take that code and pay. That's what I tell a lot of our guys. I don't care if you Google it, bring all the code, put all those things together and build me a software for a coffee place. I mean, I don't care if you copy it, and I don't care. You don't have to. It is not an exam. So if you can build the application, you don't need anybody to certify that you passed the exam. You know that you passed the exam. so you don't need somebody's certification. I know, because they ask us to give certificate, we do, but point is that. So that's, I guess, in a nutshell, world has evolved, world since our time to now. I call it pre-internet. I mean, jokingly, so we spent time in pre-internet, where when I got here, there was not even Google was not there. Email wasn't there, things like that. So since then to, now the world has changed significantly, and it's going to be even more going forward with metaverse and everything. But what I notice is that education system hasn't changed much. You still have to go to college and stay there for 4 years to get a letter that states that you graduated, and that letter has more value than you as an individual. So you know what I mean. So I'll tell you what I mean when I did computer science, whatever that means. And when I did computer science, when I look back, the college told the industry that this guy is allowed to do only software job. If he wants product management, he wants people management, or anything outside of it, he doesn't have formal education, he's not eligible. The college told to the world doesn't even entertain the conversation to speak about any of my interests, because I have this letter that says I am a CS guy. And then they engage in that narrow topics, and either I get in or I don't get in. If I get in, of course I have to get in because I need a paycheck. And once I get in, I have to spend certain amount of time before even I can pose a question to my boss saying that, hey, this is not what I want to do. I want to do something else. And so in that process, I lost already 3 years, which is valuable time. I was 21, best time of my life. I was wasting just doing something I'm not interested in, but I had no choice. And because they say you have to gain experience before asking these things. So if I want to change, I have to put in a lot of it. So now, how many people I know they did some work for 3 to 5 years, and then they do MBA, mostly in San Jose or Santa Clara universities. And then they come back and get into product management. Again, you're starting all over. You're a rookie, more or less. I mean, unless you're in the same project, then yeah, you have prior experience. If you switch the product, then you're a product manager and you don't know the product. So you're like a rookie again. And then you lost all 5 years, all the work you did. And then you again start all over. And then it's like a trial and error. You don't know where it's going. And you have no path that you can set your eye on. So where that was okay back then, not okay, but it's okay because we didn't have a way to figure these things out ahead of time. With the current evolution of all these technologies and the benefits, your kids and next generation people should be able to see, okay, you know what, this is what I want to do. And I mean, some framework. And in order to do that, I need these things. And then they can work backwards and say, okay, now what college education, and in particular any particular course or particular college, and how they're going to help. And then they can have that conversation saying that this is what I want to do. Tell me how you're going to help. Instead of mine is the other way around. I mean, just I joined computer science because I got into computer science. And then so they said, you do computer science. They never asked me, what do you want to do? Never asked. And only time I was asked is after I finished my degree. When I interviewed there, they asked me, what do you want to do? Then I didn't know the answer. I didn't know answer because if I say I want to do this, and what if that guy doesn't have that job? So I remember going back from my interview, and I invested 20 years of my life in all these colleges, schools, yada yada. Simple question: what do you want to do? I didn't know the answer. I was just dancing around, giving all vague answers. And luckily, I got the job. But point is that there are a lot of people, even today, when they finish their academics, they don't have clarity. There's a lot of people, probably you know them. A lot of people, they finish their degree, they take a year, and they go to Europe, and they wanna discover. They want to discover themselves. They want to go through that discovery phase. My take is that that discovery phase has to be part of your college education or school education. You should know by the time you finish your education, you should know that you have this degree. Also, you have to know that these are my strengths. This is what I like, and this is not something I like, and this is what I want to do. If you have that discovery process done, you're gonna save at least 5 years to, even in some cases, 10, 15 years of your life figuring out those things. Because once you join the job, right? Once you are in the company, you don't have a lot of flexibility to try out different things, because your, first of all, company doesn't allow, and second is you're at the risk of paycheck, because you need the paycheck, and you can't just say, okay, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna drop out and try this, right? In school, you have the flexibility without dropping out. You can still do it because most of the tools are free, and you are not losing anything. So here you're losing livelihood because you have family, kids, and whole nine yards, and yeah. So you're not going to take too much of risk, and you need that nothing to lose attitude. I got nothing to do attitude. Then you can try different things. Okay, man, this is going to work for me. This is what I'm going to pursue. And so then if you come out, you're going to go full speed, and there's a good chance that they can make it. I think if I compare to those 4, 5, 10 guys that did, like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and maybe Steve Jobs, and all these 10 guys in the last, 50 years, out of billions of people, they did something like this. They knew, they're gifted. They knew that this is what they wanted to do, whatever that is. And we think they took the risk by dropping out of Harvard and I don't know, Stanford, Elon Musk. So we think they took a risk, and it's not going to work for us. I don't think they thought that's risk, because they thought staying in the college is the risk. So, so that's why they chose the other one, which is non-risky path, and that paid off. That's my opinion, really. So
Yeah, and they are more like outliers, but those are people who really knew what they want to do,
yeah,
who really sort of understood. First of all, they were able to get to those universities. This is point number one that some people frequently don't get. That they were motivated enough, they were talented enough, they were working hard enough to get to those top schools.
correct.
This is point number one. It's not like, okay, I don't want to study because I'm gonna be like them. And
No, I agree. Yeah.
So this is point number. Point number two is that they had a huge, big ideas that they got passionate about, and it was as big that they were motivated enough to drop from this college. It's not like they dropped because they were not successful or something like that, or it became boring to them. No, it was that, okay, you are in the top university in the world, and now you have huge idea that kind of overwhelms even this. So it's like step-by-step increase of the passion and step-by-step increase of what they wanted to do.
Correct.
And this is important point probably to understand as
No,
well.
I agree. No. So to add to what you're saying, I'm not saying that I don't want youth to say, okay, let me drop out so that I can build a company. So that it's not that dropping out is the criteria. I mean, I agree with you that they went to the top school. So I guess my point is, out of billions and billions of people in the last 50 years, only a handful of people, had it. So they are, as you said, they are gifted. They got the idea and they're gifted. Like, for instance, Michael Jordan plays basketball. He's gifted, right? And so there are a lot of people, there are some people that are gifted. There are a lot of people, they work on it and they're not gifted, but they strive to get there. My take is that the kids that today, that not, let's say, non-gifted kids that are out there today, if we bring them that exposure from the early days, there is a good chance that they will also give it a shot. I'm not saying they have to drop out. That's just not even a topic. I mean, it's not whether you drop out, otherwise it doesn't matter. But you have that mindset that right after my academics, I'm going to build this. If I fail to build, okay, probably I'll go and work somewhere. At least that mindset, whether they do it or not, secondary, at least if you have that mindset, then you're wired differently. You're going to be thinking differently. And when you get out, even if you work for a company, your mindset is different. You behave like a leader. You behave like a owner of the product because you have that mindset. So unfortunately, with all due respect, I mean, I don't know about all these Harvards and all, I'm not, but most of the schools that when they come out, that they just literally want to find a job and stay there and see what happens. Stay there, right? I mean, yes, please stay there. But so I always ask this question, right? When you join the companies, top companies, right? Amazons and all the Googles, companies are going to be great for the next 20 years or 30 years. They're going to be fine. What are you going to be? When you join a company, did you ask that question to your boss? Hey, what happens to me after 3 years? And what's my path? And and then do you have some kind of clarity? I can speak for myself. I didn't. In fact, I was so nervous if I asked that question. What if that guy doesn't give me a job? So you think that I'm talking too much, and then so that I just, what questions you have? Some interesting questions on my job related, and that's pretty much it. I never asked what happens to me after 3 years, or what is my path. And I think that is what, if you understand, then you work backwards, then you're going to be a lot more effective, and you're also very efficient in terms of your time invested into it. And otherwise, when you don't know where it's going, your time is not well spent, in my opinion. Anyway, so those are the things I think changes a little bit. So with that, I think we came to the end of it. So I asked this fun question, everybody. So what is the piece of technology that you like to see that doesn't exist today?
Yeah,
It can be any,
get to the fantasy world.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it. I like it because fantasizing is a really good thing that probably a lot of adults lose after they become adults, let's say this way.
Right.
Or if we can say this way. So thinking, it's called, like in Amazon, it's called thinking big. And this is really good. This is what I like in Amazon, that they motivate us to think about our career like 3 to 5 years ahead.
Oh, wow.
They ask us to think big, think bold, and yeah. So a tool that I would probably fantasize without borders, probably the tool or a device that would allow me, like to have some book and load it in my mind and understand it.
Yeah.
So
it's like a USB drive. You put a USB and then just load it up.
not that.
And then it plays there. I mean,
yeah. So learn faster. Let's say the device that helps to learn faster,
yeah,
more efficiently. maybe it's not device, maybe it's a technique, maybe it's a complex of devices, but yeah, something that helps me to learn faster and more efficiently. This is what I would like to have.
Yeah, I think that's very cool. Actually, one of the guys said is very funny. The guy is in Canada. He's going to college. So in the podcast, he says, "Hey, I need some kind of agent. Whenever I don't want to go to school, I'll send that one." So he will sit there in the class and then pick up everything and bring it back so that I can go whenever I want. I don't want to go every day. So I think all these are going to happen. I have a feeling that the one you said, and I think someone said that, I want to dump my memory of today, and then 5 years down the road, I load it up and replay and relive my past. Like the way it was. Like if you have fun moments, you can relive those. I don't know whatever that means. I don't know how that works. So, but there is the way it's going. Yeah, all these seem to be possibilities, and at least it's doable, and it looks like that. With that, thank you, Dan. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. And as I said, let's get in touch more on the advisory role. I'll talk to you. In fact, we are doing this for a company, and this infrared thing. They are LA-based company. I'll talk to you briefly and see, how we can sort of collaborate. And yeah, that's all for now. And so one more thing is that we'll do a series of podcasts. Next time we'll take maybe one of your interesting topics, and then we dive deep into it, and then you can present it to the youth, and so that they can learn from you. And it's not like you can even just talk about it, and anything of your interest, like in math, computational math. So some of these topics are Alexa-ish type topics, whatever it may be, and so that way, it's a beneficial for upcoming youth. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Guru. Was happy to be here, answer your questions, talk a little bit more about certain things. Yeah, so thank you for organizing everything, for doing this, for having this mission. Yeah.
Already, yeah.